TV.
Hi, I'm Neville Johnston, and this is a program that you watch with your third eye.
And I'm Mary Phelan, and our show is about raising our consciousness. And we started a show just a little bit ago, and for some reason we got bumped out, probably because 5 o'clock is when everybody's kind of off their workday or it's kind of starting their playtime on the internet. But anyway, We're here. This is episode number 2 of the new thing, and we had started talking about how we used to produce TV. It was quite elaborate, and how nice it is to be able to do spontaneous episodes like this, where we get some thoughts and we just come online and people can watch them anytime. And this is one of those stories of walking to school in the snow for 40 miles and all that. But back when we did TV, it was a big production. 3 cameras in a full studio, had to set up the lighting, had to get the set up. Sometimes it would take hours to just set up, hours to decommission the set, and then had at least a crew of 10 people running all the equipment, the switchers, the sound, the audio board, and we took live calls. So we also had live call-in, which you are absolutely free to talk to us here on Facebook, even though I'm not seeing us broadcasting live on Telepathic TV at the moment. We shall see if it does show up at some point. We're live somewhere on Facebook. Let's just put it that way.
And if you found us, hang on, because you have accomplished an amazing feat.
Yes.
Sometimes it just depends.
Yes, so we're not sure where we're streaming live. I picked the Telepathic TV page, but I don't see it there. But anyway, one of the things that we were going to talk about today, and the title that I wrote out there, which is kind of a loose thing, is knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what really started me thinking along these lines is how, like, certain experiences we've had recently, like at the haunted place in Fredericksburg, this idea of setting up false expectations because you're afraid of your own truth is essentially it. Mm-hmm. So what happened is they said, I should know if we can do it or what it's all about within an hour. So we go away for and they were going to call in an hour. 2 hours later, they hadn't called. So we went back and we were told we could wait for it. And then it kept being like, oh, a half an hour more. Oh, no, it'll be ready by this time. And it wasn't until midnight that we were sitting there, and we could have just gone home had they told the truth and just said, I really don't know. Do you want to go home and I'll call you? And I think that it started showing me that when we are afraid of our own truth and saying, this is where I am, this is how I feel, I don't necessarily want to come to your party, it's not personal. When we don't know our truth, what ends up happening is we manipulate people through that stringing along.
Yeah, and then there's another lie and another lie and another lie. And what happens after a while is you wake up. You know, this person is lying to me. Not only will I never come here again, not only will I never say their name again, and not only that, we've seen this all over the planet. We've seen it, and it's not just the United States, although the United States seems to be cresting highest in this particular phenomenon. And in order to get around this, each of us will have to individually begin to be willing to know our truth. And that's absolutely forbidden. There's no place you can find the truth with the exception of science. The whole point of science is that it's true. If it's not true, it's not science. Now, science will come up with something, and another scientist will disprove it, and then they note the guy that disproved it, but not the guy that brought it up, and they don't carry all this nonsense with them. So anytime you tune into the internet, go to some place called science and see what they have to say, because there you are likely to hear something. I just heard that there are many, many planets with oceans on them in our part of the galaxy, which means the part of the galaxy we don't know about is going to have other planets with oceans. And in these planets with oceans, there's bound to be life, because that's what the ocean does. It just does that. hi, I'm an ocean, gee, I'm bored, I'm going to invent some friends to play with me, and then we can have waves, and, and it just goes on. But around here, no, this has reached the crest, and it must now go down. This lying, this falsehood, this keeping people's attention, stealing their time and life.
Yeah, I think you're onto something very important here, because this idea that we have to, first of all, we get bred into us that we have to be this thing. It's like we are this shape, like we come out as a triangle, and we're told we have to be a square. And so what that sets us up to do is to live completely in the world of measurement, where we're constantly comparing ourselves. And the thing is what we all seek is to figure out what our shape is. Am I a triangle? And then what does that mean? And how can I live that without guilt? And that idea that we're supposed to be something else, and that struggle to be who we are, and the guilt, that doubt and guilt, that's the transition between the two, is what we spend most of our life mixed up in and distracted by, and not really living our full potential. And it's set up this way in a lot of ways because power is scary to people. That's why there's so much struggle for it here. But when we were talking about keeping our word, about what we experienced at the Honda place or what I experienced, we all go through that. And I remember working at a company where there were always these promises of promotions and everything. And I put this sign up on the wall. I wrote on my cubicle, like on a little piece of paper, a person's word is the currency of their soul. Are you passing out bad checks? And here's the thing, we have gone from over obligation to just do whatever we've promised to do, even if we don't want to this thing where we never keep our word, where that is okay to not keep our word. And so what we're seeing now is these two poles isn't really the deal. The deal is to encompass everything and get to a larger truth. So what would you say is some of the repercussions from that type of manipulation, to say, I mean, we all do it. We all make promises we don't keep, to ourselves mainly, but to other people too.
Well, it destroys trust, very obviously.
Yeah.
And then the way that works is you can't trust yourself in this environment because you're in this boiling stew of manipulation. And then if you go, no, I prefer XYZ to ABC, or whatever it is you prefer, then you enter into this contest or fight or debate with what is. But the problem is that you knew what is, what is before you get lied to. Now what's happening is everybody is presumed that they're being, well, those of us who are evolving in this environment start off by presuming they're being lied to. I'll be ready at 8 o'clock. Liar! How dare you say that to me? And you know better than that. Give me back the car, I'm leaving. That's enough of that. And this is the whole thing. We, through this boiling of lies, we forge a metal that is more than resistant to lies. It's actually getting to the point where I would have no problem whatsoever in saying, no, you're not telling me the truth. Tell me the truth. Because that has to be the way it goes.
Yeah. You know what? In a way, I see what you're saying. And you have a very powerful message there, because we're taught that we're not allowed to just say it. And one of the beauties about getting to be middle-aged in the latter part of life is you do get really sick of playing games of this, especially when the dance goes nowhere but in circles. And it's not a good use of your time. Another thing about being older is you realize that there are a finite number of hours and minutes in your life. And it could be 1 million more, it could be 10 more, it could be whatever, but you start valuing them in a different way. And I remember people very kindly would bring articles and books and things they wanted me to read to get my thoughts on it, which was very nice. and because it was very nice, it was hard to say no. And I would say, okay, but then it became this burden until one day I realized there's only going to be so many things I will be reading in the rest of my life. I have to figure out what that is with me. And that's why we want these boundaries. While everyone talks about boundaries, in my inner wisdom deck, I describe boundaries as not hard fixed walls, but fluid points of choice. And that's what we seek. We seek choices. And if somebody's inundating you and you put up a hard fixed wall and never be able to have that, then that's not the optimum thing either. You know, that's the same thing, just on the other end of the spectrum. So where we're really looking to land is in the world of choice. And if we can't speak our truth, and if we don't own our truth, then what happens is further downstream, we get so frustrated and so far removed from our truth. It's like a cable car in that electrical circuit that we can't be happy anymore. We start losing our energy and we lash out at people. That's when we grab hold of them and say, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you come right out? So since we can't have power over other people, I would suggest we all start having power over trying to be as authentically honest as possible. And when you do it through love, it really doesn't hurt the other person.
Oh, very well put. Yeah, this entire metamorphosis that we have been steered into, forced into, put upon by, we really must change. And that's not easy. And especially in the realms of just the world in general. The entire of our planet is, I've heard scientists say that, this is not going to last. This is the rate we're going forward is not going forward. It's coming to an end. Okay, now I could see how this has to come to an end. I get it. This cannot go on the way it's been going on because it's usury. It's insanity is ruling. Human beings seem to have no rights anymore. We do have the same rights we've always had. You just have to own that you have the rights. I have the right to say anything I want to say because that's freedom of speech. And it's just imperative that we all remember that compassion for our fellow man and compassion for ourselves. And it's a question in each and every decision whether I must have compassion for me. I must have compassion for the other person. And I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it's important to know that that's the question you're answering virtually in every decision that you make in your life. And if you do decide to take care of the other man, knowing, or woman, knowing that that will be taking care of you, that they're synonymous, you take care of somebody else, and you are taking care of yourself. Did you know that? Because a lot of people don't have a clue on that one.
Well, I think that's so true. I have on my decks, we love others through the doorway of ourself. And in my relationship guidance card, it's talking about the win-win in everything. And I think you're right. Sometimes we win by getting our way, and sometimes we win by seeing the joy on someone else's face by getting their way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you have one of your could hold up? Just because
yeah, maybe I'll pull some cards in a bit. Just like
that
we
would be
used
a
to
good
in the old
idea.
days. You know, we didn't really have a plan for today. We just decided to just talk, just log in. And we had some glitches, so maybe even some of the things we were going to talk about didn't come through. But, I really would like to do a show, and maybe we can even start talking about this. But we won't talk about all the manipulations, but I would like to bring up one and then do a whole show on that. Maybe we'll, in a day or two, we'll do the whole show.
Okay.
We have a lot of shows we've done on manipulation, but one of the biggest manipulations that is so prevalent now in our world and in our lives, because I believe that when we are unhealed, we confuse love and pity. And so the I'll pour me manipulation is a very big thing going on. that look what's happening to me. Ah, poor me. I have been burdened. I am the sacrificial lamb. Look what everybody is doing to me. I'm working on a book where I have actually come up with 70 different types of manipulation and how they all interact with each other, and how to deal, if this is your manipulation type, how you deal with the other things. And it's a great study, and we've done many shows on this. And Neville, I know you have done a body of work with it too. But we are not taught to love ourselves directly, so we love ourselves vicariously through other people. So if we do that, how do we get that to happen? Is through manipulation. But that big one, the ah, poor me, if you can learn how to respond to the ah, poor me, you don't get taken advantage of. Because the ah, poor me is when we feel a rush, when people rush in to defend us. Like, look what this bully did. This person conspired against me in this hoax, or look, everybody's against me. And then everybody rushes in as the rescuer. And you used to talk about the rescuer trinity. Do you remember? The victim, victimizer, and rescuer, and how we can get off that that wheel. Did you want to talk a little bit about that? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
Oh, well, no problem. It's actually pronounced, rather than rescuer, it's pronounced rescuer. Yeah, because if you don't get yourself out of it, so then if someone does do something, the ah, poor me, as you were saying, the ah, poor me, the stepping out of that clean is to say, what are you going to do about that? Okay, and then it's just not, they haven't stolen a thing. And then they solve it, or then you could say, well, I do have some advice, and that is germane to my receiving from the universe some sort of recompense, because it's not, we don't have to walk around rescuing people, or this rescuing people, or this will never end. You know, it's like the virus, it will never end until people understand that they have to protect themselves. And as much fun as not going out, and not going out seems to be a really good idea.
Yeah.
The more you recognize it, the more you get done, because this going out has been the thing that has distracted us from development. Because going out, you drive to work, and the entire drive to work, well, you're not where you want to be, you're not doing what you want to do. At work, until you go home, you're not where you want to be, and you're not doing what you want to do. And so the percent of people that are outside, a large percentage of people that are outside are not doing what it is they would love to do. You could be out there looking at the birds and counting the blades of grass, and whatever that is you do. But a huge amount of anybody who is at work, watch this, anybody who's at work does not want to be where they are. Okay, now they can be a genius in diplomacy, and you wouldn't know they don't want to be where they are. But if you start by knowing they don't want to be there where they are, you can call them out at any time. Oh, this is the biggest possible computer you've got. You don't want to be here, do you? No, I didn't think so. Is this really it's not the biggest one? I didn't think so. That's it. They're off. It's the off switch. You really don't want to be here, do you? Oh, I want to be here. Yeah, and we both want to be here.
Now, that's something I've heard you say many times when we go in stores and people are really upset and everything. And one of the things I've said about complaining is the last thing we do when we have no power. It's our last option. Yeah. And so if you find yourself complaining, like, doesn't it feel good to like go in a grocery store when everybody's happy and hey, have a good day, or oh God, I wish it was Friday, that kind of an attitude. Oh, yeah. I think that when you hear, this is what I do, and I know we're very different people, and I love that. I love saying, I posted this one time on Facebook, one thing I want you to know about me is that I'm not you. I love that one. But when I hear people complain, I don't, it's a little different than the ah, poor me, because there's an ah, poor me where you verbalize to the world, oh, this person is doing something to harm me. and you can, and it happens more and more and more. It becomes an addiction. And I'm not mentioning names or whatever, just in our world today, but
Although
it's like,
could.
look what's happening to me. Look what's happening to me. This whole subset is out to attack me and get me. And what happens is it pulls out the damsel in distress rescuer in all of us. Like, oh, look at this person, they need me. And so it kind of pulls us out and everything. And I started to say something else, about people complaining. When people say, I'm being mistreated, and if there's a feeling of wanting everybody to hop in and defend them, like, you get on board with me, and therefore I feel loved, because I'm confusing love and pity. But then there's the complaining, which I don't see as much as the for me manipulation. I see it more as somebody that needs to change what's going on in their life. They don't feel they have the power, or they haven't found it yet, or it's not time, and they are really like upset, and they don't know what to do with all that, so so they are trying to find healing. And so when people are complaining like that, I often hear them. I just slow down and just hear them and help hold space for that, because at least it gives some of the pressure release.
Yeah, I really do believe that there could be a course in any college, in any, I would put it in grade school, by the way, as soon as possible in life, is to get you to understand who you are, because nobody is ever allowed to be who they are, and nobody's ever where they want to be. If you were allowed to be, as we were just saying, we are exactly where we want to be, and we are doing exactly what we would love to do, which is helping our fellow man and therefore ourselves to become more conscious. That's been the lodestone, the driving force behind telepathic TV since it ever came on the air. And we're going on a little over 20 years, around 20 years that we've been doing this. And it's so important. So run the drill on yourself. Well, all right, fine, I admit that I don't want to be doing what I am doing, your job, for example, whatever that is. Okay, well, then you're going to, at some point, have to answer the question, what would you love to be doing? And I don't mean like, okay, what would you love to do? Because if you don't know the answer to that, you don't know much, okay?
Great.
Yeah, and I know.
And you used to say, what would you love to do if you didn't get paid?
Yeah, that's a very big one, because money has taken us. We are no longer us. We are enslaved to money, and money is not capable of enslaving us. If you have way money, you're enslaved to it. If you have no money, you're enslaved to it. If you have a medium amount of money, and this goes on for half an hour, so draw your own conclusion. But money does not make us slaves. Okay, there is a certain point by which we can stop being enslaved. And if you just said, I'm free, and it's warm outside, and I have my clothes on, and I'm going to walk to the United States, first of all, because of the situation the U.S. is in at the moment, which is you can't sneeze, pardon the expression, without hitting someone. That goes on and on. Now, I'm going to walk the world, okay? And I'd walk across the Bering Strait, really moving fast over the wet part, and end up, I'd like to see England, I'd like to see Ireland, I'd like to, but as an American, you can't get in those places anymore. Imagine that.
Yeah, no, you really are the Robin Williams of metaphysics.
Thank you very much. I think I might be several other people in there as well, including Greg Marks, and there was a couple of others besides that. But nonetheless, this is the point at which we really do have to say enough. Enough. This is the whole.
In everything, enough. Okay, we'll say enough. And here's where I feel the rubber meets the road. Everybody is trying to change this stressed out terror. Like every day there's a new terror to be afraid of. and
Yeah.
all these different things. And everybody got to the place where they were trying to go out there and change it from the outside. And that's one of the reasons I did the some free EFT tapping salons through Zoom, is to, number one, heal old pain from people that have been oppressed for eons,
Yeah.
and help to heal that pain, because they deserve it. And we as Americans owe it to healing the people that have been enslaved and oppressed. We owe that. And that's really what's being asked for, is that healing. And then also, I did another one where we find that separation within ourselves that makes us judge other people and push other people away at arm's length. And I'm going to do some other ones. But it really is up to us to heal it within. And that's where we get our power back. So when I saw, in a period of one or 2 days, when I see that there are certain things that are coming back, feedback in my life, like for instance, this idea that I'm going to promise you this, I'll be there at this time and not come, not call, or whatever, like someone I'm hiring. It's not always from some negative or derelict reason, but if something happens more than once, twice, and 3 times for sure, there is something trying to get a message to you. And what I saw was, I need to police myself about pulling in my boundaries and giving me enough things to do and not too much, because I tend to overbook myself. So if you look at everything that happens to you as a message for you to clean that up within yourself, either that you're doing that to yourself or perhaps you're doing it to others, then the power lies always in your own stars, in your own lap, in your own self. And you're not at the mercy of someone else, because the minute you are at the mercy of that middleman to give you approval or any of these other things, then you are selling your soul. Then you are a spiritual prostitute of sorts, and you're never going to find your power that way. And then people manipulate you. And loving people find it really hard to just say, no, I can't take that on. I've got enough on my plate. But when we run across people that do that, we really respect them a lot.
Yeah, well, you hit, oh, pardon me?
I just said, because we want to be like that.
Yeah, now this is the idea of approval, which I think is an unbelievably, let me just say, huge idea, because approval isn't external. You think it is, you've been trained that way, mommy and daddy, etc., etc. But approval, well, I approve of myself.
Good.
Yes, and you can back away right now and I won't care, because I approve of me. If you don't, well, let's see. That's not my problem or concern, nor am I interested. I approve of me. If I don't approve of me, then I can do something about it. But if you disapprove of me, well, what can I do? I could assault you. That would work. Don't approve of me, eh? Yeah, there you go. Now, this is none of this. You cannot say you disapprove of another human being because you don't have enough information. You really clearly don't.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so go ahead, disapprove of everyone, and it will result in your demise. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, very well done.
Yeah,
So how do we learn to approve of ourselves? Because our entire life has been dedicated to getting us to disapprove of ourselves, and it's very boring.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was in this recording or the one that didn't actually pan out, but the idea that we're born a triangle and we're trying to fit into the square, exactly this thing. Yeah, I love that. And something else you used to say is, when we talk about claiming our own authority, is we were driving down 66, this was many years ago, toward Arlington, because we did 2 live shows, one every other week, one every week, and I did a radio show. So we did a lot of media, volunteer media. So I was like converting shows and doing this a lot. So anyway, we were driving down and we didn't want to be late. 66 going into Arlington, big tie up. And there was a turnaround that we could have gone and gotten off on these side roads, but it said authorized vehicles only. And so Neville said, turn there. And I said, oh, it says authorized vehicles only. He goes, authorize yourself. It didn't say who had to authorize you. And I just started laughing, and how much that we give our authority to a sign that's not even clear. I understand that was for authorized vehicles turning around, and if everybody did, it would be pandemonium. But the idea was this authority. Like when I first met you, Neville, I used to save all of my bills. This was back 99, I think we met for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to save all my bills, phone bills. I don't know why. Maybe I might need a number off it one day instead of just copying the numbers that I might need. I didn't even question it. And I was at your house and you paid a bill and you threw it in the trash. And I thought, throw it in the trash. And it was like an epiphany for me. I was following a nebulous, nameless, faceless authority and living my life according to it and didn't even realize it.
Yeah. And so that led to the idea of the language codes, books on the subject, language codes, plural. And this is where the authorized vehicles only. And exactly what you were just saying about that, but the language is stuffed from one end to the other with words that are designed to debilitate we human beings. And I gotta give it to them, they do a really good job. Like can't versus won't. And this is a teaching from Jamie Sands channeling Leah. If you say you can't do something, that something owns you. If you say, I won't do that, you own it. And that's an extra letter, I know, gee, that's terribly difficult to pronounce, an extra letter. I won't do it. I have no use for it anymore. When the language books came out, it was around 2000 the series started. And I thought by now you'd never hear anybody say should or can't, or a number of other words that just absolutely steal your want is another one that takes it. If you say you want, you have separated yourself. If you say I would love it, you have connected to it. But nobody knows this stuff. Yet today, nobody knows this. I can't figure this out. And I'm very close to going, okay, fine, don't figure it out. I'll reincarnate. I don't care. But yeah, this is essentially the deal. You got to pay attention to what comes out of your mouth because it is your life. Words are decisions made.
Wow.
On and on and on about that. There's no end to that particular view.
No, I think that's good stuff. But we kind of titled this Knowing Yourself, and I think all this kind of comes back full circle. If you know that being in crowds of people drive you crazy and you're probably going to blurt something out at somebody because you're frustrated, then you would just not do that to the best of your ability. You wouldn't put yourself in that environment. You would do the healing necessary. And if it's something to be healed, you heal it. And if it's not, if that's your nature, then you do things. It's like if you don't like hamburgers, you don't seek out hamburger restaurants. But if we think we have to like hamburgers, that's when we get outside of ourselves, we get involved in all this middleman and manipulation and everything. And so I would put this forth to everybody as a challenge, an exercise, as a gift to yourself. Start really feeling into your life about what really feels right and what you're funded to do. If it makes you feel larger, you walk toward it. If it makes you feel smaller, you walk away, and you don't question it because it's different for everyone. And that's the secret to happiness. And when you do it through authenticity and real connection and an act of integrity, because integrity means that what you believe, what you desire, and what you live are all in alignment, that everybody accepts your truth. They don't get their feelings hurt. It seems like, oh, now my neighbor's going to be mad because I don't want to go for walks every evening. But if you're really in your alignment and your integrity, then love can come through. And love delivers the message, not resentment and boundaries, rigid boundaries. Well, would you like to say anything? And then I'll pull a couple of cards as a reading for everyone, like the old days.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm going to very briefly state that what no one seems to be able to hold on to, not even for a nanosecond, it won't cross your mind. And that is the idea that 100% of everything that happens is on your side. That's everything that happens. I don't care where it happens or who's doing it. It's on your side. Okay. You know, I could see killing me is on my side. I really understand that. But there are 5 words that keep you from recognizing that everything is on your side. And that's fear. You're afraid of it. 2, you doubt. That takes care of everything. The universe runs on decisions. Once you make a decision, the universe knows what to do. If you doubt, the universe doesn't have a clue. And it goes into retrograde. Fear, doubt, worry. Worry is another word for doubt. Anger and fear. That keeps you from recognizing everything is on your side. So all of this is on our side.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we're going to do a show on that, the fear, guilt, doubt, and worry show, because I just wanted to say that there's so much more to be said with what you just said. Yeah.
But there you've got the
so valuable.
Yeah. So you were going to do some cards for us?
Why not? Why not? And so this is what I would say. For all those years we did the show, I always did readings at the end or sometimes through the whole show. But what I would say is to hold in your mind, whether you're watching this live or recorded, and we gave no notice that we were going to do this live. We just kind of let's do it. But we'll give more notice, perhaps, maybe. The next time we do it, we'll let everybody know of a time we're going to do it. But think of something, even if you just want a message, whatever is good for you to know, and just hold it in your mind and in your consciousness with the trust that everything is on your side and that you hear your guidance easily. Now, I'm going to interpret these cards, but the whole other half is how you apply them to your life and to the things you would like to know. So our first card is consciousness. And consciousness is talking about that state of being where we are in the experience instead of the measurement. And so this is so much about getting to know yourself, and then you don't have those tangles with anyone outside of you. There's no outside agency. There's just the inside. And that consciousness experiences. And so it's always in bliss. The next card, We Are the World. One of the things that this card portrays is that each of us are a unique color in a unique dance, but we're all equal on the earth. And it is talking about connecting with others. And perhaps we've kind of learned a lot about ourselves in this restriction of connecting with other people. But this is talking about figuring out, who am I? It's the title of the show. Who am I? What is my color? What is my dance? What is my contribution? Even if it's just sitting there contemplating for the rest of your life, it's to really know who you are and maybe reach out. And I also see that as kind of connecting with something larger than yourself. And then the third card is the possibilities card. And I've used these cards for 22 years, and I have quite a connection and a relationship. Each card has other meanings to me after this time. And this card comes up a lot when it's talking about opportunities from the West, and perhaps California, Arizona, maybe some opportunities or opportunity to go there. But it's also saying, see the higher view right now. Don't go into the minutia, because something may look like one thing, but after some time passes, it's going to look completely different. So keep your mind open.
Excellent.
All right. And then
Really?
one chakra affirmation for everybody to say. And this is something you chant, because in my chakra affirmation cards, each affirmation is a remedy. It is a vibrational sequence that is designed to harmonize and cancel out something else. So the card for today is the heart chakra.
Oh.
And it is, I love myself unconditionally. So those words are a vibration that is a remedy every bit as much as a pill or a light frequency or sound vibration. I love myself unconditionally. And we'll say it 3 times, okay? I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. And if you say that every time you can, after a while, you will. And I really recommend getting a copy of Neville's book, Language Codes, Hidden Language Codes, and his one going to be coming out pretty soon. It's really groundbreaking stuff, and it's what Wayne Dyer and all the people that got into Your Words Create. It all started with our Neville Johnston's The Language Codes in 1999, and that's where it all began.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Well, thank you very much. It just leads to a huge opening in the thinking. Right now, we will admit that we're on a bipolar planet, right? Right? There's two poles. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. So not only do we live on a bipolar planet, we're a bipolar race. Yes, we are, because there's only right and there's only wrong. Well, forgive me, but when there's only right and there's only wrong, that's wrong. Because there's a third answer. And the third answer has to be the synergy between right and wrong. And what do you mean by that? I mean, there's right and wrong and maybe. There's right and wrong and perhaps. There's 1,000 other things besides right and wrong, but nobody ever looked at it because we have been brought up genetically at this point to believe that there's only two answers. When of course there's three. And forget about three, there's four. And did I say four? I meant 5, 6, 7. There's just an infinite number of answers. And people, I'm not a mathematician. There's really only one answer. Okay, fine, you win, you're right. There, you happy now? You gotcha. Yeah, no, and that's not wrong either. It's possibilities that as soon as you enter into this right and wrong thought pattern, the possibilities vanish. It's right or it's wrong. No.
That's so true. You know, I teach a lot of that in my psychic development series and other things, because people are so skewed to saying, did I get the answer right or wrong? And it really misses a lot of the depth of what could be learned there.
Always.
Well, you know what? We are going to be doing lots of things coming up, and Neville's going to be doing shows talking about his copper and his books and things like that. I'm going to do some reading shows and, of course, some tapping things. And I have Tap It Out, which is a Facebook page. If you want to follow that, I'm probably going to do a lot of the tapping things on that, which is called Tap It Out. You'll see my name on it. It's a picture I drew of a finger or finger tapping or something. And then here we'll have most everything else. So join us. And we're going to also do some little short classes and such. So
yes, we have a lot to look forward to. And we have a huge, huge amount to offer. And we always have, and we always will. And I would have thought by now the human race would have caught on to us because of the 600 shows we did. But apparently not. That could be something away. So are we concluded?
It's 600 shows. We did close to 1,200 hours of shows because we did 800. And
I forgot Arlington.
if we add up Psychic Show from a long time ago and multidimensional, but Arlington we did 300 and something. We did, let's say 800, and so that's 1,100. And then I did some radio shows, and we did some recorded shows at home, some broadcast shows. So it's been a lot of info, and I'd like to redo some of ours because we taught so many things on these, like the vibrational healing one and transformation of energy. We showed all kinds of techniques. We're probably going to be duplicating a lot of that and doing our bowls and stuff. So please share the page too. We would love to have more people to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you going to do? Okay.
Wow. Okay, so I'm still learning how to do all this. So it was our joy and honor to take you to the door.
And it is your job to go through it. We can't do that one for you. You have to agree. It's not my idea. You're going to have to take a step, a big one. You have to realize that absolutely everything you've ever been taught is Cool.
See, this would normally be where our credits are rolling as we're doing this. But as Neville would say, you either walk forward boldly or kicking and screaming. It's your choice. So anyway, it was a joy and honor to be here tonight, and we will see you soon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Now, that will be stopping, and then the recording will be stopping. We're still recording, so give me a minute here.